Krishnaji, speak to us of God. For millennia man has searched in grief, in sorrow. He turns to the deepest depths of himself, searching for that eternity to give him solace. You appear to negate God. You say that gods are man-made, and God did not, the gods that you have made did not make you. Does that mean that in your teaching God does not exist? And yet you are not a materialist. How do you explain this paradox?
I think we should make quite clear right from the beginning of this dialogue that man actually has created God. If God created man, then he must wish that man live a rotten life, a miserable life, which I'm sure is absurd. I think man has made God in his own image, but expanded it, given various attributes to that which he has created, and so on. Are you asking, if you deny God, which is man-made, then man in sorrow is not seeking eternity, is not seeking something beyond himself or something timeless, but he really wants something that will give him a great comfort, a sense of deep inward security. That's what he wants. He doesn't want, in that moment of all, in that period of sorrow, something that is beyond time. What he actually desires is some form of security, some form of alleviation of sorrow, some panacea. That's what he wants. If we agree to that, then we should really go into the question. If you negate, as we do, the whole mythology, the whole structure of God, if you totally negate it, and how you negate it matters enormously, then what is there? Right? Is that what your question?
May I say one thing? You have just said that God could not have made man. Do you imply by that that the coming into being of man is a biological, material process?
It appears so.
Do you also then mean that when you say the gods which man has made, that there is, you may not call it God, you may call it reality, you may call it the timeless, but there is a reality, a truth, which is not God, a man-made.
Yeah, to affirm a thing like that, we have to really find out if thought can ever stop. Then only you can discover something.
Sir, but while one listens to you in your discourses, there is a perfume of sacredness. And it appears very odd that a person, while you are addressing, just creates an atmosphere of sanctity around him. And then you say that our gods are made by us. It may be true up to a point that the gods that we have made are made by our mind. But as you said, then you must go beyond thought for that. I want to ask, is there any such thing whose nature is sanctity, which is available to man?
Sir, if you posit that there is,
I am only inquiring.
yes, sir, if we are really inquiring and not stating, then can we inquire, explore, not if there is God, if there is not God, which is quite obviously rather absurd. Can we explore the nature of sanctity, the nature of sacredness, not the sacredness which we are seeking, not the sacredness or the benediction that man wants in order to feel happy, in order to feel that he is protected, in order to feel that there is something on which he can rely.
So there is something which we are seeking, and there is something which comes unsought. And it is that which is really beyond man's control. Man can do nothing about it.
No, you must be careful in using that language like that. Man can do nothing about it. Maybe the unconscious or deep layers of his consciousness which have been so conditioned, they project themselves occasionally from the depths. So, let's be clear, sir. What is it we are talking about?
Sir, you will accept that in life itself is a mystery. It's a tremendous mystery. Being born, living, dying, and this great unknowable truth. The whole of that is a mystery.
And this is why you call it a mystery.
Because the mind cannot understand it.
The mind cannot understand the unknown, but the mind can understand this whole process of living.
Man cannot understand birth. Man cannot understand death.
That's all. Man cannot understand the nature of death, what happens after death. If there is something beyond time and so on, we are inquiring to something unknown.
Yes. So you would accept that there is a mystery. So I say we cannot explore into a mystery. Then it would
No longer a mystery.
So as man cannot explore into a mystery, he skirts around,
Yes.
trying to find a door into this.
Yes.
Now,
But he cannot find it through intellection.
Granting that he cannot find something through intellection, he has an experience of something that is too sacred for words.
And
That is not imaginary. He
Like
just
we must be awfully careful, actually, that it is not a deep, unexplored layer of his own consciousness which is longing to have something secure and translates that urgent demand into something mysterious.
Sir, one comes upon it unsought. You are in a forest, you are facing the Himalayan ranges, or you are by the side of a river, and suddenly, in that silence, in that quiet, there is something that comes into you. And you get a feeling of this excitement.
I don't
You can't say that
question.
it
I
is
don't
a-
question it. Lord, no.
But you can't say it is a make believe.
No, we can't. All the time pointing out, we are pointing out, one has to be very careful that we are not deceiving ourselves.
That's true.
We are not caught in some kind of illusion and then say that is the truth.
No, sir, I say we don't know.
We were speaking of negation.
You know, I was saying, can man wipe out all that he has accumulated as psychological knowledge? Totally, completely negate. Is that, first of all, possible? And if he does, to inquire, not theoretically, abstractly or intellectually, but actually in life, negate his whole condition. And in that negative state, which is the most positive, fact, see there or come upon something which is not man-made, which may be sacred. Is that possible?
To move into this field of negation, it is necessary to inquire into that word, to negate.
To negate, to wipe out, to negate.
What is the nature of negation? What is it to negate?
Sir, when you say that all the centuries of psychological knowledge has to be wiped out, I would say this is just a plain statement of fact that when we come to ask ourselves, what is this quality of sanctity? We have to face the fact that we know nothing about it. And you have to say, I don't know. In that one single recognition, which is very simple, that I don't know the nature of all this.
So, but
There is a total, automatically you have negated everything. When you say, I don't know, you feel something and you don't know.
no, sir. Suppose you were saying, one was asked, what is it to deny?
I am saying it is not a rational thing, it is something where reason merely accepts the fact that it has come to its limit.
Yes, it's come to its end of the stella.
It just says that I don't know.
No, but
I know.
let us
No.
not talk
No.
of facing a river or a mountain. Let us talk of negation in a very ordinary set of circumstances. Because unless you understand negation in an ordinary set of circumstances, that negation which comes when you look at something extraordinarily powerful, it may be just the taking over of yourself by that power.
No, are you asking really to be simple about all this? Are you asking what is the nature of negation?
Yes.
I think that's very simple. If one is attached to some person or some belief or some conclusion, historical or dialectic, to say, to negate that, that is to say that I will not have push it out of my mind completely.
But you deny will.
No, I deny will.
So the instrument of pushing it out,
Is perception.
normally in the human mind is will.
Yes, yes.
That's how negation normally takes place. When you want to say that I want, that
I will not
there
have.
is a want in it,
Yes, there is a causation.
there's a causation,
Yes,
and
yes.
an action of will which puts a thing aside.
But there is also another form of negation, Tukliji. Like some people believe with all their guts in communism, and they come upon the truth that you cannot have a new social order of free and equal men through that particular idea or ideology. Now that ideology loses its validity with no will.
Yes.
You are honest, intellectually you are honest, and you
Maybe.
say that this has dropped.
Maybe, but you are not free of belief.
No, when your belief ends with the confrontation of facts which are not of your own creation, there is a negation. An honest man must see that his belief has become invalid.
If I may say, Achyuti, the great negation, which is the negation of the self as the I, as a process who does, who moves, who propels, has never takes place.
I will never use the word never because it is too absolute. I would say that one does not come upon it as one comes upon the invalidity of a belief.
Because the nature of that is entirely different, I say.
What are we talking about?
I say the nature of that negation, which sees in becoming in so many aspects of one's existence, to negate deep at the depths of oneself, that process is a movement of becoming.
So, can we, perhaps let's not use the word negate, can we understand this whole becoming, with all the conflicts never ending, with all the travail of human anxiety, loneliness and all that, that's the perpetual movement in which we are caught, with the fish, and see it, see the actuality of it, and without exercise will, see the truth of it, and that very perception of that truth ends that process. That is what I call negation.
Negation then is the ending of becoming.
No. Negation is the perception of the truth of becoming, seeing what is involved, the consequences of that becoming, and the very perception of that whole movement in which time, the whole of that thing is involved, ends to become. That's what I'm saying. It's the perception that ends, not will and soul.
I'm asking something which is a little subtle. Does truth lie in seeing or seeing of becoming? Where does the fact of actuality take place? Is it in the nature of seeing?
No, the fact, the actuality takes place in the mind. There is a perception, say for example, of attachment. I'm taking that purposely. Attachment to position, to person, to something or other. Now, without investigation, without analysis, without all this process of thinking, that's what I'm saying all the time. Not searching out the cause, analyzing the reasons why one is attached, and so on. Why do you bring in truth? Truth, I use the word truth in the sense, the truth of attachment. The implications of that attachment.
No.
The consequence.
No, but what I am trying to get at is understanding it.
No.
They are not separate.
No, but we must say what we mean by understanding. What is the significance of understanding? We have explained what it means to perceive. That's very simple. Which is to perceive without the past, without the nature of the mind which is conditioned by the past memories and so on, so on, so on. To perceive simply, directly.
Certainly I understand what you say, but our difficulty is that with us it's always a partial process, a fragmentary process. I may see how stupid and harmful is this attachment to nationality. Nationality has become an anachronism in our age of technology. Now I can see this with respect to nationality because when I have applied my mind to it, I can see that nationality has become a total anachronism.
Yes.
It goes. But I am pointing out that always our minds are functioning in a limited field. You are saying that it is a total, with you as I hear you, it's a total perception.
Yes.
Now I hope
That's obvious.
but how does one move from the particular to the general in terms
So I
of
expanding the question, Chuchi, if I may remind you, we started out asking if to deny God as man-made and all the rituals and all the circus that goes on in the name of religion, if you see the absurdity of this, inwardly you put it aside. Then you won't be
So when I
hypocrite.
mentioned communism, when I mentioned nationalism, I was taking the modern God.
Yes,
I was
of course.
taking-
Unanswered. Krishna ji says that to come to it there has to be a negation of everything which is the mind.
Let's stick to that
Yes.
one thing, sir,
Yes.
and let's proceed. from there, because
And
we are
therefore,
going
in
on.
going into the nature of negation, we came to perception. And now I am trying to probe into perception. I'm probing to perception. Asking him whether the act of perception, which is seeing and without meditation, how does understanding arise?
There is no understanding here. Seeing without the whole process of thought, that very seeing which is inside, that insight dispels all illusions. And you see, we are not going step by step. We are saying that understanding, what does it mean to understand? I understand the language you are using. I understand the reason. But understanding is something much deeper than merely hearing the words and translating words and reacting to words. But understanding implies a complete reception or receiving something that you are saying so completely. I understand.
Yes.
I got it.
It is as if there is darkness and suddenly light falls on it, and it is revealed.
Yeah, that's all.
It's a revealing of
Yeah,
what
that's all we are using. Don't let's complicate.
So so perception in that sense is what reveals.
Yes, yes.
If I may put it.
I mean, it reveals the whole process of any causation.
So is it that perception without mentation
That's it.
is
Is the clue.
the clue.
Yeah. Can I? See, that's what I'm saying. I say, for instance, first I have negated that organizations, institutions will help in no way man to comprehend, to arrive, to perceive that which is eternally true. I've said that, right? Now, is in me, I am the result of thousands of institutions, traditions, all the propaganda of institutions, as religions, politics, economy, and so on and so on and so on. I am all that, which is, I am the past, the present, and the future. In me all that is me. Now, can the mind move away from that cycle, becoming, which is the past, the present, and the future, as me, moving along that direction, as we have been doing for millennia after millennia, can the mind deny that slavery and discover something else? After all, that's the new mind, to discover something new. We don't.
See, sir, we come to this point. Any question I ask you out of this point, you will negate.
Oh, absolutely, of course. But Puji, accumulation of man's experience psychologically, can that be what way, which is to deny, which is to negate? How you negate matters, because in that very negation, the positive is taking place. Right? You see, easy when we negate God, the word God, or the feeling that of God, the man-made gods. There is the fear of utter emptiness, utter nothingness. It is that which is preventing us, the fear of that is preventing us from denying the false. We don't deny the false. We are finding out reasons to sustain the false. But when you deny the false and see,
it would appear, sir, that what we feel as the sacred, what we feel as the ground of sanctity, has to be denied.
oh, absolutely. Now that may be our deep down urge, desire
to believe, the will to believe.
Yes, when there is nothing. It's not darkness of the soul and all that kind of stuff, but to see that there is absolutely nothing, and to come to that point that thought has no place at all. Remain with that nothingness. I don't know if I'm making this clear. Yeah.
Sir, isn't there something which is infinite, which is infinite, which is eternal, which has nothing to do with my volition, with what I am, what I am not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But why do you suppose?
No, I am not supposing. I am merely saying
Question.
that we are now going along in one way. I want to go another way and say, isn't there something?
How can you know?
No, we don't know about it. All that I say is we
Then
don't think
inquire.
about it. Inquire. How do you inquire?
How
That's
do I
all.
inquire?
Yes.
Is to one, all that I know, psychologically, we come back to the same point.
We do.
You see, the interesting thing is, or the thing which is very difficult one comprehends the negation of what we call
Yes.
thought, means of becoming too, as but this feeling of the sacred, the feeling.
See, there is a point. After all, when you go to a temple, very old temple, as you must have been at that time, very old temple, there is an extraordinary atmosphere about it. Because millions of people have been there worship. It may be all illusory, but there is this sense of worshipping something which man has made, and out of that worship, out of that adoration, out of that sense of devotion, you create an extraordinary atmosphere, extraordinary sense of sanctity. But that sanctity, that atmosphere, that worship is all the result of enormous work of human beings. That's not sacred.
You have talked of going to a place of great antiquity and getting that feeling. When one sits at one of your talks and you talk, there is a feeling of great sacredness which descends on the mind, and you see it as if it were holding the whole of that place. That is part also of this process of evolution.
No, not quite.
Then
I'm going to explain that. First of all, the speaker has a certain reputation. Whether it's right or wrong, that's another point. He has a certain reputation. So the audience has created an image about the person. And that image also is conditioned by their religious spirit, their criticism, their cynicism, all that. So there is an atmosphere created. Now, is the person who is speaking more vital than the image they have created about him? So that image has no value. You follow it? And the speaker is really enormously compassionate with all the rest of it involved in his speech, in his feeling. That creates its own extraordinary atmosphere. So, if the person is really deeply, profoundly honest, has such integrity in what he's saying, then that itself is a momentum towards the other. See, this
That is, sir, precisely what I was trying to drive at. That there is something which is infinite, which is incomprehensible, and which comes into being without my volition.
No, because
I get some intimation of it.
Sir, I've heard various people say that there is a guru with whom, if I sit quiet, in whose presence I feel completely peace. I questioned You are attributing the same thing in different words.
No, sir, now I am not saying that it is in relation to anything. I am saying, is there not something?
There may be, but it's for me or you or which to come upon that. Not that there is positive and then imagine what it is and then say, yes, I'll receive it. That's all. Illusion.
That much is quite clear. We are not pursuing an illusion.
No.
We are saying...
Pursuing from fact to fact
yes.
to fact. The fact is, can I deny? Either I deny, negate, one by one, that, or there is a perception which comprehends the whole. And if that perception of the whole is the very denial of all that holistic perception.
Sir, I want to say that this holistic perception of which you have spoken, it is not only a step-by-step rational process.
Oh no,
it is also a deep feeling in it.
No,
it may be
a deep affection, love, compassion. That is perception. That is intelligence. You see, actually, if I may point out something, go into this little more. You see, we don't negate. We are talking always. Therefore, there is always this play between the fact and non-fact. I say, I won't play that game because it's so childish. If comprehensively negate so that there is absolutely nothing psychological. I can't deny that lack. I can't negate that lack or the technology that lies behind that lack. But to negate the whole process of becoming so completely so that your mind is not caught in the past. The past I need to have to learn and so on. That's not, can we do that? And if we don't talk about the eternal gods, time is becomes so meaningless. So,
is it not necessary for a mind I won't put the word which today, which now rests without movement, to hear the word said about the nature of that which is undoing.
what? Can you?
That's it. The mind is still.
That's all.
Now, is it not necessary for that still mind to hear of the nature of that which is timeless?
The mind is so still, not achieve quietness. Be still, not in use, not practice, not word and nonsense, but with that awareness of the mind which which sees this momentum slow as a chattering word, and sees the utter.
Yes, but when it has when there is a situation that there is a man who can speak of God, which is not man-made.
Be careful, I did not use the word God.
I'm using God. Because don't let us
Quibble over the word.
quibble about the word. There is a man. And is it not necessary when a mind is still to hear that voice speak?
Of course, otherwise you can't hear. You are telling me a story.
But I am saying to you, and I'm saying it with faith, can you speak to us about that which the time is?
I don't think it's possible to put it into words. We are measuring with words the immeasurable. And I see the whole thought.
I don't want to measure. That is why I said,
Now just wait. If your mind is actually quiet, absolutely silent, not induced, not in this conversation trying to capture that silence, but actually after this deep inward insight. When there is that silence, you cannot ask that question.
no, I cannot.
Only when there is not that silence.
Because
Go ahead, I understand.
I see you. And I don't want to do it. It's not that I want to capture
No,
what you're saying.
that's why I was very clear.
It's not that I want to capture what you're saying. But I feel that when there is a stillness of the mind, the hearing of that which lies beyond the mind
Look, Babaji, I understand what your question is. Very good. Achyuti and you have told me something, or I am listening to you with great deep, with complete affection to what you are saying. That very attention is silence. Then you are telling me or conveying to me something much more infinite than silence. And can you convey that in words? Or your very presence, your very that you hear and talk and so on, that very presence is impressing me, and I become silent. If there is this extraordinary quietness, which has no cause, and therefore it is that very silence which is space, which is timeless, is infinite. This infinity is the universe. And therefore if the universe has no cause, But all my life is based on cause. And can I understand? In the understanding one cause, I'm infinite. My brain is infinite.